Hi, I'm Natalie,
I'm Candace.
And I'm Danny.
and we are following Soulspiration.
In today's episode, we're talking about two tools of divination, the pendulum and tarot cards. And for our purposes, we also include angel and oracle cards in our discussion. We are trying to show that these tools can be fun, accessible, and useful for anyone who is interested in using them. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Very good. How are you today?
Good. I can't wait to open up our podcast. Today we're talking about pendulum and tarot cards. Tarot cards, I use the term broadly. For me, it's like the angel cards or oracle cards or things like that, right? So, and we're just going to dig in. I feel like sometimes topics, we can shy away from topics because we don't feel like we know enough. I know I do that. Like as soon as I find something that I want to learn about or I want to do, I like buy a book and I feel like I need all this knowledge and everything. But I feel like with pendulum and with tarot, what we really want to lean on as far as what to do, which deck to buy, all of that stuff is our intuition, because after all, they are tools to enhance our intuition and our guidance, right? From spirit, from source. So I feel like using our intuition to be guided and is really the best tool. And also that we don't know what we don't know, and that's fine. You know, that situation where you just kind of blindly stumble in and you don't have all the facts, but something magical happens anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to bring this topic down to a very approachable level. I would say maybe even too approachable. Like I just feel so clueless, but I also feel like it doesn't matter that I'm clueless, because everything I need out of the cards and everything I ever hoped to get out of the cards or pendulum, I get. So even stumbling in with no knowledge, I just want to encourage everybody just to kind of follow their intuition and let it lead the way. And I thought we could just begin by sharing a little bit about our own experiences. I thought maybe we would start with pendulum just because that's where I started. I started with the pendulum before I started with cards, and talk about how we first came to the first one, kind of what was kind of the story leading up, and then how we kind of picked the first one, and then how we began to use the first one. And let's just start there with your pendulum stories, you girls.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
So
Yeah.
Fine. Okay, so I first got a pendulum, I don't know how long it was ago, maybe 6 months ago, something like that. And I didn't want one. I didn't go kind of searching for one, but I found out there was like this tiny little, I live in the middle of nowhere, and I found out there was a really cute little crystal store 5 minutes away from where I live. So one day when I was childless, which is a rare occurrence for me, went into this shop just to explore and play. So I looked around the shop and there was some beautiful crystals, and I went into this other little bit on the back and there was just these glass stands with things in them, and I didn't really know what it was, but I just saw this thing and I was like, I need that. I wasn't sure if it was like a necklace, if I had no idea. Anyway, so I just kind of said to the man, excuse me, I would like to take this. So I bought that and a few crystals and went away. And when I got it, I was like, oh, it's a pendulum. So I got it by accident, really. I'm going to just show you. For those that watch the video on our website, you can see my little pendulum. It's a beautiful little thing, which is made of rose, quartz, and amethyst. So then once I did, I can remember coming back and telling you, Danny, and being like so excited. So like, can we just play? Ask me a question. So I was like, what do I do? And that's the thing. I think this is the whole thing with this conversation. You know, Danny, you're saying, we're approaching it from like an amateur point of view, and professionals may come and roll their eyes, but the whole point of this is these tools are accessible to anyone, whether you know all the stuff and rules or not. But I can remember coming to you and like, what do I do? And just ask a question. So I couldn't just do that. So I went Googling away, and I found that, it's good to kind of, what's the word? It said, it was like, like activate it kind of thing. So when I did, I kind of went and just asked it to show me what a yes was and show me what a no was. I think some people actually tell it what it's yes and no is, so they indicate, right, this is going to be a yes for you and this is for a no. But I think the results that I read said, you know, just let it decide, so show your yes, show your no. So I did that, and then the rest is history. But it's one of those things that I really like. If you're feeling really stuck on something and you're kind of getting in your head and can't kind of see through your own kind of codswallop, it's nice to just be able to have something to pull out and go, okay, you know, higher self, tell me what the answer is, you know. And it's funny because sometimes it can be really infuriating with a pendulum because it just does yes, no. It's like, just tell me the answer. And you have to be so specific with your questions. But yeah, that's my brief story of my first pendulum interaction.
Yes, thank you so much, Natalie. I think I can definitely relate to that feeling of, just tell me the answer. Can you just tell me? And that brings up something we can talk about after Candace shares her first pendulum story.
Okay, so I don't even remember all the details. I know that this is like 15 years ago, and I was working in a like little metaphysical shop.
Wow.
And they got all of these pendulums in, and they had one there that was, I mean, it was probably all amethyst, but it was kind of like a gradient sort of white to purple. It was really pretty. And I had it for a really long time, like actually until a couple years ago when my daughter broke the tip off of it. But, I mean, I don't remember all the details of how I picked it or anything like that, but I do know that it was beautiful and I was drawn to it. So that's probably similar to Natalie's story with a lot less detail. Just, ooh, that one looks nice. And to be honest, though, there's very few times over the years that I really went to it for answers until the three of us started talking on a regular basis. And Danny, you were using yours all the time. And I was like, oh, I should be using mine. But I think for me, a lot of the time, like the part that I struggle with pendulum is that I find for myself, if I'm really emotionally invested in the answer, that it's not necessarily accurate. Like almost like I can influence it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the right way to put that into words, but if I'm really emotionally invested, number one, I don't trust the answer. And I mean, maybe that's the problem right there. And number two, it tends to not be like clear. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you. I feel exactly the same way. I don't know, Natalie, if you've had that experience too.
Yeah, sometimes I felt blocked with it, and then I broke it. I think it was on a podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Actually. And since then, I've felt less attached to it. I think I've just kind of lost the trust a little bit, but I don't want to say that, and it can hear me. But I still love you. But no, I have, like, since I've used it a couple of times, and it's just kind of one of those things that has to earn my trust again. Keep delivering and we'll get there.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, I remember really vividly. So I started working with a woman who is actually a medium and spiritual advisor, and I thought of her as an energy healer, and I was going to her, Heather, you guys know.
Right.
And for anyone who doesn't, she has a free Facebook group called Heighten Your Spiritual Awareness if you're interested. But anyway, I love Heather. And I was working with her one-on-one, and I looked at her as kind of an energy healer. So the first work that we did together was really a lot of clearing out energetic blocks that were in my body and around me from several lifetimes and just from different things. So we spent a few sessions like that. And I was like, I don't know why she calls herself a spiritual guide. You know, she's like the best energy healer around. You know, it just really felt like this. And she started giving me a little homework to enhance my intuition. And one of the homework, I won't bore you with all the details and go down a rabbit trail, not that I ever do that, but one of the homework assignments that she gave was just to play with the idea of a pendulum or cards and kind of see what I was attracted to. And so I thought, okay, being a good little student that I am, I'm like, okay, then the idea got really inspiring. And I had to Google like where the metaphysical shops in town were, because I had no idea. You know, we have about a half a dozen, but I didn't know where any of them were. I think, Candace, it is so freaking cool that 15 years ago you're working in a metaphysical shop. Like, I didn't even know what the hell they were until, you know, a year and a half ago. But that's a story we're going to have to hear. I want to hear that story. But anyway, so I went into the shop, you guys, and I want to tell you how beautiful it was and how drawn I was to it, but that is not the case. It was a small shop, and there was only one. There was only one, and it is green and not particularly beautiful, and it has like a deer or something, you know, on image, but I knew it was mine. And like, I love butterflies. I'm a Taurus, so I'm the sign of the bull. Like, nothing about this should have resonated with me, and yet I just knew it was mine. I knew it was mine. If I had 100, I don't think I would have picked it out. I mean, the purple one sounds freaking amazing. Natalie, yours is gorgeous. But there was something about it, and I just knew it was mine. I knew it was. So I was like, oh, it doesn't really matter that they only have one, because that's mine. So I took it home, and I remember I messaged Heather like, okay, now what do I do with it? And she's like, let your intuition tell you, just, you know, you'll figure it out, basically, is what she told me. I'm like, well, you're a lot of help. So of course I went, you know, to Google, like you can get everything on Google, right? So I went to Google and I did. But anyway, so when I first got mine, I actually had watched a different YouTube video, and it said to hold it in a certain way and it'll show you yes and no. Anyway, I did it a different way, but got the same result, and it worked. I asked it what it wanted as far as like cleansing or cleaning or anything, and it just wanted to be in the windowsill. So I left it like 24 hours a day. I don't know if it was the power of the sun, the power of the moon, whatever. I don't get caught up on those details. I really just got to ask it what it wants. Slowly but surely, I started to ask it what it wanted. And then I went through that phase like you're talking about, Candace, where I'm like, you know, coffee or tea? Let's ask Pendulum. You know, like, where you like are so enamored with it, you're just playing with it, and you just ask it like every little question in the world. But it is fun to play with. And I have found that when I'm really emotionally attached to something, that I get unreliable answers. But unreliable, or what it'll do for me is it'll give me a wobble, and a wobble is like, it's not the right time, it's not the right question, you're not quite right now. And the first, I know with using it regularly, one of the first things I do, and I know you do this too, Natalie, in some form, is you ask, the first question is it a good time to ask a question? And get a yes or no response. I also want to say for people that my pendulum actually changed the yes and the no response after about 3 or 4 months of using it. I noticed it was a little less reliable. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to double check. So I said, show me a yes and show me a no. And the yes had changed.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
Yeah.
But I actually ask every time before I ask is now the right time. I say, show me a yes, show me a no, so that I know when I ask the question is now a right time, that I'm reading the answer correctly.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, because otherwise if it shifted. So before I could ask anything, I'm like, show me a yes, show me a no, is now a good time. I set the intention to receive guidance for the highest good, and then I'll ask the question. So it takes me like 20 minutes to get to the question.
No wonder you don't use yours. You've got to go through.
It's too long, yeah.
No, but that's
I'll just
brilliant.
go with tea, yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that so much. And I also love playing with pendulum with other people. So like being in a session together or with a client or anything. And so we just both take our pendulums and ask questions and see if there's a consensus, see what everybody's getting. Well, I'm getting a wobbly yes, so I'm getting a strong yes, so I'm getting a maybe, or so it's so nice, and it's such a great confirmation. Another favorite thing for me to do with pendulum, and I didn't make one in advance, but I'll just show you guys, is just a simple little chart. And I know you guys have seen me use this, but I'll just literally take a piece of paper, and it'll be like option 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just wrote 1, 2, 3, and 3. Anyway. I just, will write, there we go. It's very scientific and beautiful in my chart here. But then you just, you hold the pendulum, you put this on your page and you hold the pendulum down here, and you just ask pendulum the question and let it rock. When you don't want to do a yes, no, you can get at least a variety of answers here.
Yeah, so the numbers are like a spectrum, so you can hold the pendulum at the center and it will go towards the number on your page, and like a spectrum, like a rainbow.
So it's like, what should my new rate be for business or whatever? And for the 4th option, I always put other. I never leave it like I definitely know the answer is one of these 4. I leave the 4th one open for other, so that pendulum has a chance, like, okay, you're not charging near enough, or the price that you want isn't on here anywhere, or whatever. And leave that for an option. But I really have a lot of success with that, and I really enjoy that. So you guys have more thoughts on how you like to use it, or any fun stories with how you've used it, or any of that you want to share?
I like doing the chart with the dates on it. So having each month on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's, should I go back to school? And you get a yes. Well, should I go in 2017? 2017.
That'd be a neat trick.
Yeah. 2018, 2019. And, pendulum can swing in that direction. Will I be moving in January or July? And pendulum swings, So I liked that. I like the specifics that you could get from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How about you, Natalie? Nothing?
I'd like the same. So, I really love doing it together with people, because it's just crazy the amount of time that you all do get the same amount. Like it's like, high 90 something percent of the times when you ask something together that you get the same answer, which shows me, it gives you that confirmation that I feel like you can trust that guidance, because the chance of that being the case shouldn't be as accurate as it is. So I really like doing that. That kind of really helped install some trust and faith in my pendulum. So that's maybe what I should do now. Maybe we just need to have a pendulum sesh, and then I can fall back in love with it. But I love that, and I do love the chart thing, because it just takes it from just being the yes or no to like unlimited potential. We've done it to figure out dates, we've done it to work out rates, we've done it to work out when we should all get together. It's like fun. There's fun things you can use it for, and it gives you like goals, and I don't know, it just feels like, okay, that feels aligned and that feels right for me. So, okay. And then you can kind of go with that, rather than, again, getting in your head. It just gives you a tool that doesn't allow your head to get in the way and give you all the yeah buts. It's like, no, pendulum says, okay, pendulum says yes, then I guess it's happening. Yeah.
Love that. Love the pendulum. And now I'm inspired to use it again. But I do pull it out. Like, intuition will just prompt me, like, oh, I could ask pendulum. And I'll usually use it for figuring out maybe what's going on with someone else. Like, I was worried about a loved one recently, and so I was asking pendulum, are they physically healthy? Is there a health issue I don't know about? Because they were out of communication, is it just a phone issue? Is it, are they, not well? What's going on? And got some answers that way. And I just felt, so much better. So it helps me. But also, I think one of the reasons why it might be wobbly when we're so emotionally engaged with the topic is because I do believe that when the guidance comes through, wherever we believe it's coming through, from the universe, from the spiritual part of life, from the infinite field of possibility, wherever that comes from the wisdom of God, however you want to say it, it comes through us. Nobody's a completely 100% clear channel with nothing of their own. Mm-hmm. It all comes through us. So it's always filtered through us. So if we have any kind of predetermined ideas about something, or really stuck in our own thinking, or the excessive worry or anything like that, it's all going to kind of show up in that. And that's another reason I just love doing it with other people, or having different ways to kind of go about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And I mean, I know for us specifically, in times where it has been like an emotionally charged thing that we're looking for an answer for, we go to each other. What are you getting for this? Knowing that you're not emotionally invested the same way.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So let's talk about our cards. And I would love kind of the same story as far as what brought you in. If you remember, Candace, probably, when you were still in diapers or whatever, pulling cards for people. Talking to dead people and shit. So if we can remember or anything, then I would love to hear your stories about cards.
Yeah, okay. So I got my first set of cards from Danny because I was part of her membership group, and in that group she was talking about I can't remember what the specific topic was, but you were talking about pulling cards and doing that for a certain reason. And I was like, I don't have a deck. And I think almost everyone else did. And so she so kindly sent me a deck all the way from America, all the way to Scotland. And I can remember I sent you a picture of me and my deck with like the cheesiest, craziest grin on my face because I was so excited. This was my first ever deck, which is the Doreen Virtue Guidance from Your Angel Oracle deck. And I got this and I did the same thing. I was like, Daddy, what do I do? And so, I got it out and I pulled a card for something and it was amazing. And it was totally in tune, the first card I did. And then after that, I fell in love with pulling cards. And again, just wanted anyone to ask me any question at any time.
Let's pull a
card. And I messaged you guys, is there anything you want to know today? Please.
I'm just going to
trying to think of a question I had for myself.
I'm all out of questions. Got all my shit together. How about you?
So I absolutely love this deck. This deck will be my favorite thing. It'll be my favorite of all of them. As long as I have decks, because I just love it to pieces. But yeah, so I just wanted it to not feel left out, really. And it's always intrigued me, but it's one of those things I never kind of would have invested in myself. But now that I have this, I now went and bought loads of others. So the next deck I got was my Fountain Tarot, because I wanted tarot rather than oracle cards. So tarot follow the same kind of, all tarot decks have the same cards in them, but just slight variations in terms of the name, but they all have the same kind of significance and meanings generally as themes across them. But oracle can be anything. So that's why that's the difference between tarot and oracle. There might be something deeper that I don't know about, but that, as far as I know, that's the difference. And so when I got this one, I didn't love it. And it was because I think I loved my first one so much and I felt like loyal. So then I felt disloyal going to something else. But I just felt like oracle cards felt a little bit like just this one deck felt a little bit limited, because I was like, once I pulled a lot of them, it's like, well, there's more, surely. There's more answers in cards, surely. So I got this one and I just felt really disconnected until someone, a very good friend of mine, told me a trick, which is to interview your deck. So I got this and I asked it a bunch of questions, and you ask it kind of, what it's there to do and how, there's if you Google it, there's like a tarot interview online. And having asked it all the questions, all of a sudden I got it. I understood it, because I found it at first really brutal. I was like, I don't like this. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm all about love and, kind of thing.
And lighthouses and shit.
Yeah, glitter. And I was like, oh, this is a bit mean.
It was like, Natalie, can you pull a card for me? And she's like, yes, of course. And then silence.
Yeah.
I don't really want to tell you what this says.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
Let's get the angel deck out.
So what it told me in its interview was basically that it's going to be great for kind of guidance, for kind of future telling, but what its weakness is like compassion. And I was like, okay, I get it. So it's just you. And if I know that, so if I come and ask you a question, I know that you're not going to tell it me with compassion and I can't take offense. It's just you trying to show me what you need to show me. So yeah, so I started to then love that. Then the next two decks I have is Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light, which is just the most stunning deck ever seen. And this, which is well, no, not my favorite deck, because Angels is my favorite deck, but this is kind of my second favorite deck, which is the Soulful Woman, because the cards, the images on these and the messages are just so beautiful. So I really love that one. So yeah, so it's like one of those things where once I started, I have stopped because I could own a lot more decks. But I feel like I'm relatively complete. There's two more I want. One is there's this amazing unicorn deck, and on all of it's tarot, and on all of the cards it's all unicorns. I was like, oh, I clearly need that deck. But it's like it's only in Canada, and I have to kind of work out. I'm sure they ship, but I just have to find the place where I can order it. And the second one,
or
is
you could
like,
have a friend in Canada. Oh, I don't know.
oh, I do have a friend in Canada.
I wish we knew someone in Canada.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna get a delivery. Okay, well that's cool. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we had this conversation today. I've been thinking about that deck a lot. And the other one is I think it's by Rebecca Campbell, or it's by the person who designed the actual graphics on this deck, and it's another tarot deck, which is I can't remember what it's called. It might be called the Moonchild. There's like this it either is the Moonchild or it's by the makers of the Moonchild deck. So yeah, so that's my thing. So I love cards. I love cards.
That is so awesome. I just remembered we didn't do a card pull, or you probably did it, and I didn't make space at the beginning for the card for this episode.
I did pull one, but it's fine. I didn't mind.
How ironic. Well, then it must be perfect that we do it now.
Okay. I pulled it from the Soulful Woman deck, and it's a good card. It is Asking Opens a Pathway. And it says, whenever I don't know what to do, I turn within and ask for guidance and answers. Then they come, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly. A knowing, a sense, an image, a name, a next step, a possible pathway. I'm discovering the answers come to me when I ask for them, and when I give myself enough time and space to listen for them and receive them. I know that it is essential to ask for guidance with the expectation that I will receive it. I wait calmly and quietly for fresh insights and ideas to flow towards me. Asking gives me a sense of positive expectation and opens me to a world of possibility. I'm learning to ask wiser questions all the time. Asking opens the door to new information and fresh energy into the unexpected.
So basically your card just explained how to use Pendulum and tarot cards. All right, episode over.
Mic drop from Natalie. What more could we possibly say?
I was laughing with my friend on Saturday because she listened to the podcast and she was asking about cards, and she was like, so what do you do? And I was like, well, I don't really know. And she was saying, because it's funny that every card that you pull in the episode, so I think she's thinking I'm going through and going, looking at the meetings. I'm like, have you seen how many cards I have? Like, do I have time for that?
And little do they know how little time you actually have. Like, you don't even have the time to do that.
Yeah, it's not one of those, oh, I'm so busy. No, yeah, you literally have no time. But yeah, so it's funny that one came out. I was like, oh, of course, yeah. Of course.
That's fine.
Of course. How about you, Candace?
So my very first deck was also a Doreen Virtue deck. It was Healing with the Angels. And it was also from when I was working at the metaphysical store. So I would say, honestly, that I got more merchandise than I earned wages when I worked there. And that's not even an exaggeration. Like, new stuff would come in and I'd be like, oh, I'm putting that on my tab. And then by the time it was like time to get paid, I was like, oh.
I used to work in a clothes shop and it was the exact same. I did it for a few weeks and every day came back with the same, with like what I would have earned. And then I was like, this isn't working.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had that deck for many, many years. Do I still have that deck? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I loved it, but I definitely wanted something, just like Natalie was saying, like, it's all loving and encouraging messages, but I wanted something more in depth. So that's when I went to my full tarot deck, which I don't have up here, but it's called Druidcraft Tarot, and it is all of the graphics and like the storyline and the explanations in the book are all related to like Druidry, which, I mean, that's not, my belief system, but everything that they say in there is like very compelling, to the point that I was like, oh, I think I need to learn more about Druidry. I think I want to be Celtic. No, anyway. But I mean, I've used them like frequently over the years. Certainly a lot more than I got use of my pendulums. But I really, really love that deck because, number one, I feel like connected to it. Like when I ask something, I get like an accurate answer. Like where Natalie, you pull the cards from any deck and it's like, bam, bam, bam. For me, that deck is really accurate, and I'm not as accurate with pulling cards from my other decks. So I have like I have a strong bond with that deck. And I have three others, which are beautiful. Like I have this one, the Kuan Yin Oracle, and it's like really beautiful messages and beautiful cards. But again, like I was saying, like I don't always feel like I get good pulls with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, that thing where I think it comes through us, and if we don't feel that connection or that whatever with it, then it's not going to be quite the right instrument for us to access that.
Not only that, but I've never interviewed any of my cards, so
you should now.
That'll be on the to-do list.
Game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when you went through that, Natalie. It was fascinating.
God.
Really interesting. So, not to just be, oh yeah, me too, but so my first deck was Dorian Virtue, Angel Tarot cards. I was scared of regular tarot cards, the traditional. I'd had readings before and just seen, like the swords and the devils and shit, like the stuff of nightmares, and I never wanted those visuals. I was never drawn to a regular tarot deck. But then I started, people would start pulling cards for me, and I got really fascinated with it. And so bought my first deck and just have loved it ever since. I love the idea of interviewing it. I think I did a little bit of that, Natalie, when you did. And then very quickly, though, I just developed this intuition, like I know what my deck likes. I know my deck doesn't like to be in the box. I keep it out of the box on my desk. I keep my rose quartz sitting on top of the deck, and I keep it out and open. My deck doesn't like to be near my computer or my phone. Same with my pendulum. So I just got to feel very quickly for what my deck wants and what it doesn't want, which sounds so silly, but it's true. I just know what it wants. And after sometimes I'll carry it with me if I travel every once in a while, not always, but like, especially if I go back home. Ram Dass says, you think you're evolved, go spend a week with your family, right? So
yep.
Talk to me about some elevated consciousness, man. So I take my deck with me, so I put it in the box, and I'm just like putting it in, like, this is only for a little while, I'll get you right back out. It sounds really silly, but I'm really connected to mine as well. And I've been around a lot of people that pull cards and do like that, and I have said it with just us, but I have to say, I swear to you, I have never in my life been around anyone who pulls a card like Natalie. I mean, I pull cards myself. Candace has been doing it for 15 freaking years, but Candace doesn't always share, so I don't know. Candace may be the second coming as far as card pullers, but I'm telling you, when Natalie pulls a mother freaking card, you have the card for you. You have the card. I have to say that. So anyway, so I pull cards occasionally too. And how I use the cards is really as kind of a starting point for my intuition to take over and tell me what message is trying to come through. So when I'm pulling a card, I will often have to ask sometimes, and that's another thing, like, how do you even pull cards? And I know, Natalie, I think you and I do it the same way. I shuffle mine with the intention that the right card will pop out. And it won't kind of quite go in the deck, and it just sticks out, or it falls onto the table, or it falls onto the floor, or whatever. I'm like, okay, Spirit, make it easy, make it obvious, whatever. And sometimes I will use cards and pendulum, because I might get 2 cards. And so I will say, okay, Pendulum, is this first card for Candace? And they'll say yes. And I'll say, okay, Pendulum, is there another card for Candace? Yes. Is this the second card for Candace? Yes, right? So I think another thing, back to Pendulum for just a moment, is asking those, being very specific with your wording and being very intentional about exactly what you're saying, because so many times the questions that we ask aren't very precise. Mm-hmm. And so what I have found is that Pendulum will kind of get in the little gray area, and you may think you're asking a question that you're not actually asking. You may be getting an answer that you aren't really aware that you're getting. So be very, very precise with your questions. I break everything down to really small chunks and be really deliberate and really direct. And so I use Pendulum with cards a lot. But for me, I find that I'll start to read the card, and certain phrases, I'll know, okay, this phrase I repeat 3 times. None of this paragraph applies. Mm-hmm. Go down here, and this word jumps out at me, or it appears in bold, or colors start to go through like the text, so that it alerts me. And then I get an idea that reminds me of maybe something in my life, maybe something else that I need to talk about, so that I can share with this person to do the reading. So I really feel like cards are not an end-all be-all for me, for anyone, really. They're just that trigger to say, what is this bringing up? What direction is this pointing us in? So that we can come fully, not specifically through the card, but then have more of it come through us and be able to elaborate a little bit more specifically for the person. What do you guys have any thoughts? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm exactly the same. So if I get a card, I'll go and I can look at the meaning, and as soon as I do, like, I know exactly which line or which part of that thing is, without really knowing why I know. But I read, I'm like, okay, this is the part that is truth. Whether you know the person or not, I've done reading in readings in groups of people. I have no idea what's going on in their lives, and I've been able to pull out that bit. But what I was going to say was, the other thing with Pendulum and cards is the answer that you get with those is for that instant, is that in that moment is an answer for you at that time. And sometimes people can, have asked a question of Pendulum, like, is this the right person for me in my life, or whatever, and then cling on to that because the card told them, or the Pendulum said this was the person for me, or this was the job for me, or whatever. But that was the answer that you need to receive at that moment. And there is, I can remember a specific one for Candace that we pulled, and she asked a question. There was a very specific answer that came back, which meant that she took action a certain way, but that actually resulted in her not doing the thing that it said to do. But she needed to take those steps that she got from the yes in that moment to be where she needed to be. So it's like it's kind of just that that awareness that you need to have when you're using either cards or Pendulum, that take the answers in that moment and then keep checking back. It's not something that's necessarily going to give you the answer forever. That's just the answer you need to hear right now.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you. That is such a huge thing, because guidance from Spirit is always in the now moment, right? Mm-hmm. That's the only time that Spirit recognizes. Spirit doesn't work the clock like we do. There's no past, present, future bullshit, time limitation, any of that with Spirit. It's only now. Only now is the only time when anything can happen. The only time for guidance is right now. That's such a good thing to bring up, Natalie, because I know for me, I put on blinders. I'm like, oh, Spirit said that, so I'm just going to stay down this track. No, just ask again and again and again, because you're picking something up that you need for your journey, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be your answer forever. So thank you so much for bringing that up. And I really feel good with this whole topic. Do you guys have anything else that you want to bring up before we close? I think we've really done a good job of showing, clueless people can do tarot and pendulum too. Like, you don't have, I mean, hey, total respect for people who study it, who learn it as a craft, who know the deep meaning and study the original, the tarot, hey, God bless you. You do you. That's awesome. And if that's important to you, then don't do a reading with me or, somebody who just does it all by, intuition. Great. There's enough for everybody, but just even for your own life and just for your work and for everything, I think we've just kind of taken down any kind of illusion of a barrier and made this approachable for people.
Yeah.
And I have found it really has been a nice opening to start to unlock the intuition and the universal intelligence that is available to me that I didn't know was there. And they're just tools to help unlock it. It can be a lot of fun. It can also be guidance. And I'm just really happy to be sharing this. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add?
No, just that I totally agree. And I think there's a time and place, for getting professional readings. And I think the way that we're talking about this in this instant is just purely from if you want to have some tools that you can use at home day to day, like don't feel intimidated by the professionals who do this, because you can still get something out of them, just by trusting you and your knowledge and your inner guidance system, so that you can actually, get that for yourself. But then obviously there are people who can give you much more in-depth support and information if you want to go to a professional. But this is just from the perspective of, you can do this every day. It's accessible to you too.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Start out with it. Have fun with it. Let your intuition guide you. Okay. Thanks, ladies. This is brilliant. Love you.
Thank you.
All right.
Love you
Bye,
too.
girls.
Bye.
Bye.